Here's the thing, we are all starting somewhere. Different cities, different stories, different dreams. But somehow, the same question, what comes next? Welcome to the Here's the Thing podcast, a space where voices from around the world come together to share the journeys we're building right now. Not the polished endings, but the messy beginnings, the risks, and the unexpected turns. Because there isn't just one path after graduation. There are thousands, and each one matters. So wherever you're listening from, you're part of this. Here's the thing. We are figuring it out together. I'm host Ayça, joined by my co-host and great friend Kunal. And today's episode is all about how to navigate your creativity in the age of AI. We are diving into what it means to stay original, inspired, and true to your voice in a world where technology is evolving faster than ever. We also have two special guests with us today, Rishi and Eren, who will be sharing their own experiences, perspectives, and creative journeys. Kunal, I'll pass it over to you to introduce them.
Sure. So we have Rishi and Iran with us, who will be giving us a broader perspective because they are coming from totally different fields. So let me give a brief introduction about both of them, and they can do their particular introductions after me. So we have Rishi Deep. He's doing PhD from Imperial College London in computer science, and his project is focused around AI and neuroscience. And Iran over here is from Turkey, and he is an animation designer. And let's hear them out what their journey has been so far. Who would like to go first, Rishi or Iran?
I can go. So,
Okay,
hello,
lovely.
I am Eren. I work in the animation industry. I am in Turkey, but I did work on a series in France as a 3D animator, and I'm happy to talk with you guys here today.
Rishi, would you like to
Hello
introduce yourself?
everyone. Hello everyone. My name is Rishi. I am a researcher by profession. I work with computational neuroscience, which is basically falling under this broad AI term of healthcare tech. I work with a lot of clinical data sets. I develop AI models, which basically look at medication data to predict all sorts of things like disease progression, side effects, etc. I have a computer science background. I did my bachelor's and my master's in computer science. I did my master's from Imperial. And I'm learning a lot of things about AI as we speak. So happy to share my thoughts.
So, since we have the introduction of Rishi Deep and Iran, I think we can go and introduce the hosts. So, Aicha, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm Ayça, chemical engineering person. I'm so used to saying chemical engineering student, but now that we are inside a job life, I'm a graduate from Imperial College, where I met these people. And Eren is my friend from high school. And I completed my university degree in Boğaziçi in Turkey. And now I'm working in a job here. in Istanbul, a private sector. Yeah, there you go. And I'm very interested in AI as well and advancements in technology. And as a person who loves creativity and always seeks to be more creative, I'm happy to discuss you this amazing topic today.
So, I'm Kunal. I am an engineer by profession. I did my undergraduate in B.Tech Biotechnology from Delhi Technological University. And I pursued my chemical engineering with biotechnology from Imperial College London. And Aicha was my batchmate over there, and Rishi we were living in the same accommodation. So during my time, I used to get some input from Rishi on how to use AI and his inputs on how to use the tools all around like GPT, Gemini, Claude, how to use them effectively and get the best results. So I would thank him for that. And it really helped in my
It's a pleasure.
project. So it was a very good thing to learn from him. And currently I am involved in my family business that is in the agriculture sector. And I'm also working on a startup that is around natural pest repellents. So looking forward to that as well. So let's skip to the questions directly, shall we?
Okay. The first question is, what was our experience in the last 3 years versus what is your experience now for artificial intelligence?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, 3 years ago is around the time when ChatGPT first rolled out, and I remember I started using it in early 2023 with regard to my internship. And back in the day, it was really such a new thing and such an intriguing thing that to me it felt like it was like a modified search tool. It would provide Google search answers in a more consolidated paragraph format rather than scattered over the internet with links. And I didn't think much of it back then. Obviously, I was getting a lot of information. Knowledge was easier to capture. But cut to 3 years, and it essentially has control of all of your systems. It knows you better than probably you know yourself. And it's amazing how much it has grown in this very short span. It can write code, it can give you information about pretty much anything in the world, and it can also sort of do, I don't know, very autonomous tasks like booking appointments for you, making reservations, which is interesting because if you look at it, I mean, we as sort of a technical society have been so concerned about AI security and you know, data privacy. It's very interesting that people are starting to give access to all of their lives to these AI agents only 3 years after it first came out. So yeah, I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on this.
I mean, what you just said about like the data privacy, as you can see, I'm the only faceless one here, so if you are reaching us from YouTube, maybe I totally agree with you on this. It's also shocking for me how fast people started trusting these tools. 3 years ago, for me, I didn't use much, I didn't care too much about it, and it was like still more primitive, especially compared to today. I used it for like fun. I was like, what if this character I like fought with this character, or they did a bank heist? What would happen? I would just have some fun with ChatGPT. And I didn't have too much concern about it. I was like, okay, like it's a nice tool, it's on the side. But my experience now, I'm a bit terrified at how strong it is at imitating life, because now when you, even though I am a person that is like, okay, I'm not gonna use AI, so I don't care about it, and I could say that 3 years ago, but now I look at the internet and I don't know if the video I'm seeing is real or if it is a fake one, because it has come to such a point where even I, like at maybe before, like maybe some more old people or like not technically illiterate people couldn't tell, but now it has come to the point where everyone can be fooled. So I'm worried about what is real, what is not. So I hope we will find a solution to that in the future. But that's my opinion about AI right now.
I agree, Eren. And the fake AI videos are even replicating each other so much in the sense that it's being boring at some point. But my experience with AI 3 years ago, as Rishi explained, is that there was a process design class when I was studying undergraduate, and there was only one person in the class that knew about AI back then because it was so new. So I think we witnessed an invention from first glance, and it's very interesting for our generation to witness this as it evolved so fast, and we couldn't see even how fast it evolved. But the first time, 3 years ago, my experience was just like, wow, how does it gives me the links that I can clearly go out and find the article that I want in minutes instead of searching for it and looking after it. And the next year when I went to Imperial, I saw the gradual change in the way people perceive AI. It became a part of the students' life, and it became so normal that it was hard for professors to get used to it and adapt. But eventually even they said like, well, okay, please use grammar AI, whatever, so that we don't have to read your papers that smells bad grammar. And so at that point, you realize the reactions of the professors even changed. Like they're like, come on, you have the latest technology, and yet if you cannot put two sentences together, it's your problem that you have to be adaptive. So, and in the cloud sense, when I'm doing things outside of work, when I'm building apps from cloud, I just lost my trust track. So I said like, whatever. Our data is already everywhere. I don't care. I mean, if you don't keep up with the speed, then I was scared to fall behind. Yeah, even though it's very terrifying. I think we are normalizing data insecurity, which is very scary.
Yes.
Okay. So I have thoughts similar to Aisha and Iran. Initially, apart from the fact that I come from a technical or an engineering background, I was not so confident in using AI because I thought it will make us eventually lazy. And it has now. Now that I compare myself from 3 years later, if I even talk about framing a sentence in a particular tone that I want to, I might be having some difficulties. Like I have 3 points, but whether I want it in a polite manner or a formal manner or an informal manner, I would be having difficulties because I am completely relying on AI for that. So if I talk about how I adapted to AI was primarily after I came to Imperial, because during my graduation time, in the project also, or in the exam prep also, we had books and PDFs and all those stuff. And in the project time also, we tend to use like basic grammar correcting softwares like Grammarly or other versions like similar softwares to Grammarly. but not much of AI. At that point, ChatGPT, I think, was considered a very cool thing. Like you would use it for just particular things, not like for everything, literally, like we are doing right now. So that's how much I feel it has penetrated into our lives. Now, I've heard some billionaires as well who have given complete access to their the emails and everything to Claude. So Claude will
Okay.
refine which email is important to them, and they will Claude will tell them that this email is important to you, this email is not important to you. It has
Dude.
penetrated to this scale. And I remember a situation that happened in Imperial. Yes, Aicha, Rishideep, you must agree with me. It was near the time when projects were about to end, 15 days or month ago from the deadline. Imperial cut the access to ChatGPT for a while. Like it was for 30 minutes. Yeah, using Imperial Wi-Fi, you
Yeah.
were not
Yeah.
able to use ChatGPT. And I think that was the maximum number of people I have seen outside the library because no one was able to use ChatGPT. So they just left the library and then came out in the garden and talked with friends and all things like that. And if I say like how I'm using it in my current life, so currently I'm not using AI at a very like big scale. I'm just using it to draft some emails or get some ideas, or let's say if I'm doing accounting, find the mistakes or find some points that I'm not able to look into, things like that, or some design ideation. Sorry, Iran.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So this is pretty much how I perceive AI and use it.
But it's so scary. So you say people use this to filter their emails.
Yes. Yes.
So AI sees your mails before you and says, you know what? You don't need to see this. It decides for you.
Yeah.
That's so scary that they get to decide what you see. Because I know
Definitely.
like there's a
Definitely.
similar application of this for job applications. Like right
Mhm.
now, some companies are like, they don't even see your resume. The
Yes.
AI is like, you know what? This doesn't have the correct keywords. Crap that guy. You don't even need to see it. And you work hard on it. Like we lost that human to human connection, and it's scary that AI makes these choices. AI doesn't help, like, or assist you. It's just like AI is the decision maker, and we don't know, like they don't have the ethic code or whatever, you know. So it's scary.
I
I
feel
think
like
one
there.
more. Yeah. Yeah. Please go ahead,
Wait,
Rishi.
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing that I feel not so good about these AI companies, starting with GPT or Gemini, once they get the targeted number of users, I know that there are some hindrances at the back end with the data sets and the servers and all those kinds of things, the data centers. But as the users increase and penetration increases, the reply is very generic. I remember last year, just before Gemini launched Gemini 3. ChatGPT was giving worst answers. I had the premium model, but even after that, the type of answers that I would expect from ChatGPT, I was expecting very generic, and it combined all the different chats that I had or the topics that I have discussed into one single point. And
Because
not
we
just
haven't been
blaming
training
ChatGPT.
AI.
Yeah, maybe it's because of irrational use. And similar thing is happening in Gemini for me right now. So this is
Yeah.
what I feel that we are trusting it so much, but this is also a tool that is constantly learning and might not be 100% correct. So we have to decide our use wisely.
I feel like there
Yeah.
are way too many layers to this. So one of the points that Aaron made was about being in charge of all the decisions in our life, and I kind of agree to it. But I mean, if we consider that there's a certain hierarchy to it, I mean, 3 years ago when we were just using AI to draft emails or reformat or rephrase our texts, we were still allowing it to make decisions on our behalf. I mean, we are trusting its decision to use this word in this sentence. I mean, that's a decision on a much smaller, maybe granularity, but it was still a decision that it took on our behalf, and we trusted it. And I think most of us turned out fine. But now, 3 years later, or in today's AI age, I think the scale of these decisions have changed. We as humans or supervisors kind of look at a more high level view of things. We leave the more technical details, the more minute granularities to AI to decide for themselves. And AI also works with in a feedback loop, so it constantly works on how we respond to its answers, and that's how it kind of improves. I think that is what has changed, and that is what is going to keep changing. We're going to allow AI to make decisions on our behalf for as long as I can imagine, but the decisions we make or the decisions we supervise as humans is going to change heavily. I think another point that Kunal made, I think, was about how we use it in everyday life and limiting its usage so that it doesn't make us lazy. I feel like a very efficient way of using AI is sort of through keeping it as an aid rather than the main subject of your use. I mean, I use I obviously to code, to learn things, but when I do that, I make sure that I know every part of what AI does. I have every small decision that AI takes in my workflow. And that way I can actually inspect and figure out errors in what it does and correct them with whatever little domain knowledge I have. So I think that's one very efficient way to use AI so that it doesn't, you are efficient in your work, but that doesn't make you, I don't know, lazy in that sense. That's probably a good way to use AI.
I think now that Rishi, you can control and you are in control of your work, and AI is just a helper for you. That's what I understand from your point of view. But my concern is a couple of years later, I think most of the jobs will actually be taken over by AI easily. And even now that Eren is saying most of the decision making comes from AI, I think even managers can be in danger at this moment. And I mean, I agree on all the concerns because everyone is inclined on AI. All the software engineers are now kind of like AI engineers. So they are keep building in Silicon Valleys, whatever, in somewhere in the US. They're still building on technology, which is not bad. It's good in terms of health and tech and science. It's good developments. But there's also a dark side. It's getting more scarier and our jobs are getting more tense. Such that it creates some tension on the corporate, which I can feel it as well.
I think the fact that like the workload is switching to AI is not necessarily a bad thing. We should have like follow-up policies, like for example, global basic income. I think they are trying this in Canada, as much as I know, in a small area where they are giving everyone a basic amount of like money to get by, and it would be nice actually. Like it's actually utopic, like in StarCraft, like just robots do everything. Like if we are gonna produce the same amount of laptops and apples and the food, but we just don't need to work for it, and we can just spend time, I don't know, doing podcasts with friends, like philosophy and art, and just play games. That would be good, but that would require, I think, we need to slow the AI down and to have the policies follow up to bring the global basic income, because not every job is gonna evaporate at the same time. Like some will go, but some will stay. So then, okay, so are you gonna
agriculture? Everyone will do agriculture.
So it's gonna be like that. So I don't know. Yes,
but it's utopia. It's a good point.
It's good politics, man. Like
political view everywhere. It's good that we're thinking positively in the sense. I wish, everyone could do their dream jobs. Everyone could pursue while they're having a stable income. That's what everyone would love to do. But unfortunately, the world doesn't work like that. But I wish so too. It would be good. And I've also seen human-like people that can come up in the future. What do you think of that? Like in China, people are producing human-like robots. So in the future, they're speculating that everyone might be, instead of humans, human-like.
Yeah. Even people will be human-like? Or you mean like the androids will walk among us? Like
yes, there will be people like
that
people.
Would be kind of cool. Cyberpunky. There's a game like that, Detroit Become Human.
That's essentially like a dream project for animators, isn't it?
It would be so interesting though. Then if they gain consciousness, then we would start to think about, are they like a sentient being? And then will they vote and stuff? Like that would be interesting too. It's a whole topic, I think, to discuss about if they started walking among us.
I think that's still a long time away in terms of purely technicals. Just for like a backdrop, we currently work with these things called large language models, which are like most of the market today. And these models work in a certain way. They predict the next word in the sentence. That's all they do. They consider the entire sentence as your data, and their prediction output is the next word in the sentence. And they keep on doing it in a recursive fashion. We call it autoregressive. But they do not really build on work on real world experiences. That's something that researchers are looking at. If you know this very famous researcher called Yanli Kun, who also happens to be the father of conventional neural networks, which is basically what every model today is based on. He was also the chief AI scientist in Meta, I think. So he's working on this own startup where he trains models on real world physics, which helps them gain an understanding of what the perspective of the world is and try to move towards this artificial general intelligence and sentient beings that we so readily discuss. And I think, yeah, that could be a foundational base for robots in the future. But I mean, there are a lot of things that I feel computers can do. I mean, only a year ago, they weren't able to read PDFs. AI models weren't able to read PDFs. I used to literally post
Yeah.
PDFs on ChatGPT and ask it the names of the headers or the titles inside of the PDF, and it would hallucinate with responses. So that's improved now, but then you can think of the kind of scale of tasks that are still remaining for AI to accomplish. And so it's a long way.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes, Kunal.
No, please go ahead.
Let's move on. It was an amazing discussion. Thank you all. So I would ask, creativity versus science. What would you tell your 15-year-old self for a career path now that AI is advanced? So science versus creativity.
I would take up a sport.
It's an interesting way to put it. I wouldn't say like creativity versus science is like good versus evil, or like hippie versus intellectual person. Like they are I think they go hand to hand. Like the biggest scientists, the inventors are also very creative people. But other than that, if I were to talk to myself about like a job, that's the thing. I believe most of the jobs will be gone. Like I don't know what I can say right now. I think like the coding will be gone. Like AI is basically math. Like just it's made of code and it can do code. Like I think Cloud released a new version and it does code so fast and good. That's what my friend in the industry said. Rishi probably knows much better than me.
Thank you, Eren. That makes me feel so good.
I'm sorry. It does like a lot of graphic stuff too. I see like graphic designing, like still image is basically dead right now. I'm doing 3D animation. I see it does some like short form 2D animations. I'm pretty sure it's gonna do 3D animation too soon. Like it just develops so fast. Only job I can see that would be safe for longer is like what Rishi said. Like I think it will take more time to create the hardware technically for the robots to walk among us and do the other stuff. So maybe like more physical jobs maybe would be more safe. That's what I'm thinking. Or like stuff that you would specifically want human interaction. Maybe like I'm gonna say server, but I know in like Japan, like the servers are already robots. I'm gonna say psychologist, but I already know people use AI for psychologists because psychologist is too expensive. So I literally cannot think of anything. Honestly, I would have no idea. I would say good luck, bro, and then just go back to my time.
So to your 15-year-old self, Eren, would you again like let yourself go on the same path that you did for university? Would you again study art, or would you also do something like a minor in engineering to learn a bit of code?
Probably I would still go this way because I'm just not that interested in the other one. And as I said, I don't think that path is also safe. Maybe it's even more unsafe. I don't know. Probably they know better about this. They are more technical. But the way I see it, like it feels intuitive for me that AI would do coding way more easily, like logical connections. If this happens, then this happens, kind of coding stuff much easier than creating art. So I would just go the same path, I think.
What I would tell my 15-year-old self would be, I think I will ask him to do engineering again, but not for the engineering, but to be too quick to grasp concepts. That's what we have learned in engineering, I think, for the last 5 years and then 2 years of prep, so 7 years. Yeah, to learn concepts quickly. For example, in our first year, we are being taught in India all types of engineering, electrical, mechanical. I had biotech, so biotechnology, civil engineering subjects as well. So what I feel is engineering makes you grasp concepts quickly. So it makes you very agile in adapting different things. So I think in the age of AI, that is very important. You shall adapt to new things quickly. Let's say I have done biotechnology. I shouldn't be too restricted to the fact that I will do everything with biotechnology. If there is danger in my field due to AI, danger is a very harsh word, but you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a chance of losing a job or losing my business also to AI, I would be happy to switch to another job or another business over a span of 1 year to develop skills quickly and then adapt efficiently to it. So I think apart from that, I think if you talk to the when humanoids are part of your life, and I think we would be 40 years or 50 years old, management would become the integral part. That's what I feel. Let's say you have to run a farm only. You would be having four humanoid farmers who would be doing the farming practices for you, dig up the soil, water the plants, or all those sophisticated systems. Although we have sophisticated irrigation systems now as well, but do all the tedious work that the daily wage laborers do, and you will be managing the farms and looking and be having a team that is looking at the marketing aspect as well, that to humanoids, but you would be efficient to manage all of them together. That's what a person should be good at, so they won't be replaceable by AI in management. That's my take.
Thank you. And Rishi, do you have your thoughts?
Yeah, I have sort of two perspectives here, and one of them is what I've heard from very learned economists. So there's the economic side of it, and there's the technical side of it. As a technical person, I believe I would definitely automate a lot of tech jobs. It could, in a sense, sort of shift what is an in-demand skill. I mean, we could go from AI engineers, AI developers to AI supervisors or AI security personnel. That's what it could be. But if I was to take a more harsh view on this, we could essentially automate all technical jobs. In theory, we could. And everybody goes back to their artistic, sort of creative personalities, like Eren. So we could all become animators, we could all become designers, artists, singers, whatever you want to. And that is very much a possibility. I mean, only time will tell what happens in the future, but I strictly believe there could be this shift where we could have more of a supervisory role of AI, and we kind of become approvers of what AI does, and that approval sort of counts for a lot of money. I think the economist's point of view is slightly different. It would, in fact, a lot of economists believe that AI would create a lot more jobs than there is today, simply because they draw this analogy about, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago when computers became mainstream. People who were the typewriters would lose their jobs. They sort of did. But then there are obviously use cases of typewriters elsewhere. But then computers created a lot more jobs than typewriters ever did. So I think that is the kind of shift that's still valid. I mean, that still happens. I, again, agree with Kunal on the idea of engineering, pursuing engineering when I was 15 or 16 years old, because it really does create this technical aptitude which helps me pick up things quicker, learn things very easily. And at the end of the day, if you think about the term engineering, it's engineering solutions, it's building solutions and figuring out ways to problems which aren't apparent in the common sight. So that aptitude, building that aptitude, I think is very important for everyone, which is why I feel everybody should do math. But yeah, I think I would still go back to doing engineering, and maybe this time not code by hand. Maybe do it on the computers from the word go.
You coded with hand?
Yeah, I think Ayça and Eren, you aren't aware of this notion that Indians, when they start doing engineering or start coding, in Indian colleges, you start with hand. You write code on paper.
Yeah.
Like pen and paper? Wow.
Yeah,
Pen and paper,
exam. The exam is like you have to code.
Huge respect, bro.
But you know what? There's a very interesting story to this. So I think IIT Madras was one of the first engineering universities in the country. And back in the day, we didn't have a lot of computers in India. So we imported this computer called IBM mainframe from the US.
Mm-hmm.
And these used to run on these things called, I think, stamp cards or something like that, cards in general. And you had to input codes on them and push them inside the machine so that they can run and understand them. But because these were in so limited quantity, I mean, the US dollar was really expensive. So importing these cards were really expensive. So engineers actually had to write and figure out the entire program before they put it in the mainframe computer, and that's where this tradition comes from. So despite the fact
very
that
interesting,
Indian universities today have a lot of computers, a lot of resources to allow engineers to code on their systems, they still tend to prefer, at least the first year students to do it by hand, so that they get the concepts of programming before they actually delve into machines. So that was the idea.
Since you said coding on papers. I'm thinking like at some point we will reach to a climax of technology that we will say like enough of this and we will let everything go and we will try to go more with nature and natural ways of building everything. I think it's a good point that you made. What I would do if I was 15 years old, like I would tell to myself that study something that has all in one, not just engineering, but also creativity, because I think now it's so important to think creatively, because once you think creatively, you can just write out whatever you think of. And with the AI, you can just put it out as a product within days. And I think I would study either industrial engineering or something that coincides with the real life applications. And chemical engineering is more like very technical. So now I'm thinking something that will be greater approach, like also with like marketing, finance, so that you can market your product that you build. And nowadays I realize how important marketing became, because competition is on another level, because everyone is building some things and you need to have those consumers that see your products. Otherwise it's zero, as I can see my trends in App Store, because I'm doing nothing for marketing and nobody even knows that it exists. So yeah. Moving on with the next question. As I said, how important creativity became with the recent advancements in technology?
Who would like to go
Eren,
first?
Animator, yeah.
Yeah, Eren.
I go?
Yeah.
Damn, let me think creatively to find an answer to this. Okay, so in my field, maybe it's not as creative as you might think from the outside. Because what I do is basically like the director comes and I am given a storyboard and they say, Eren, like just do that, like come on, like, and I just turn it into a 3D animation. Of course, I add some of my interpretations, but at the end of the day, I am also like a craftsman. Like it's like also technical job. Like I am as creative as at some points as Rishi. That's why I said to the previous question, like we shouldn't put creativity versus science, because like you guys are engineers, but of course you are problem solvers also. You think like, okay, you know the technicality, but you need to solve the problem. Like what do I write? And then you think about that, you use your problem solving skills, and that is creativity. So in that sense, I think with this new technology, AI, creativity is always important, but maybe it is less appreciated now, because we at some point stopped thinking and let the AI do the thinking for us. And that kind of comes back to what Kunal said about getting lazy. I think we get lazy on the part that matters, which is thinking. And less we do the thinking, the worse we get at it. So it's a vicious cycle. We rely more on it and then it becomes worse, and because we are worse at thinking, we rely more on it. So I think it's still very important to keep our creativity. That I myself, maybe more so than you guys, more against AI. Like I don't use AI at all actually. I think it dulls the mind, it makes you lazy, like Kunal said. So I think it's very important to keep our creativity, like our human brain. That's what makes life worth living, not just for a job, but I think for our personal lives too. So I think it's actually very important to keep our creativity at this new technological age.
Just one small question around the point you made, that creativity is not appreciated, you said. Do you agree with me on this point? I think traditional creativity is not appreciated. So traditional ways of creativity, like the ones that you learned in university, is not that much appreciated. Just like how Timothée Chalamet, have you seen the news? But he dissed opera and ballet, and then everyone said like, what are you saying? It's still valuable. But I think lots of people think that way. Traditional creativity is not being appreciated that much nowadays.
I think, it's true. I think there's new forms of entertainment, and maybe ballet is not appreciated by more people. Like it's become a more minor form of entertainment or culture. And these guys, Rishi and Kunal, they have zero creativity. They just write numbers. We shouldn't say that. I think, if anything, they might be more creative than me. I really don't know. I just met them. They look like lovely people. But I think you are right. I think with the advance of the time, I think these traditional things change. But I wouldn't classify it as the death of creativity. It's just, something just past their time. Maybe ballet is not everyone's cut of the cake. Now people like streamers, I guess. What I meant by it's not appreciated as much is, I guess it goes more to social media too. It's hard to compete or to be even in the same field where I create an artwork, for example, and I post it. And everyone is like, maybe like 10 years ago when I was posting on my Instagram. Eren is so cool, it's so cool. But now it's like it's blasted with AI artwork, and now it loses its touch. I can't explain it with words, but you feel it. It's like there's all this AI artwork flowing out, and it's copied and copied and copied on top of each other. And then at some point, you also lose your own legitimacy. When you do artwork, you are like, did you even do it? Did you base it on something else? Did you just take it and make minor changes? That it becomes tedious for the artist too. You are like it's not as cool anymore. That's what I meant more like. I hope it was clear.
I just wanted to expand your thoughts, and I agree on that point too, that it's not appreciated. But of course, creativity is coming from engineering side too. I totally agree. From my perspective for this episode, I was meaning more of artistic creativity, as you said, because nowadays, since we can code very fastly from Claude, what's depending on the way that to success is about the UI design, and it's all depending on your knowledge in aesthetic versions. So if you have an aesthetic side and you can create a good UI design, you can build two apps of the same function, but the one that has better design can win. So that's another perspective.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think we are about to lose that, and we are already losing that because we are not thinking about the UI design or like design of anything as much as I see in the companies in Turkey right now. I did some research on that, and I know from some people from the inside is like if they are gonna do, for example, a concept design for their game, you would think, that's the creative part, you're gonna think what the background is gonna like, but what they do is they do the AI thingy. Okay, do something like this, blah blah blah, do something creative, you type masterpiece, and it does something for you already, and then you iterate on that, then there is no creativity really. Like you lost something there. Okay, you saved time, but maybe if you worked on it yourself, you thought about it yourself, you would have reached something much more original. And I think with the advancement of AI now and the way we use AI right now in artistic, as you say, we are losing creativity. It's gonna be more reiteration of each other, etc., etc. So I think it's still important to keep our creativity, and I hope we can. But I'm not gonna be so optimistic about that part.
I think I have two examples from what Iran said and what the question is. One is there was a video of Tom Cruise. It was a 10 or 15-second clip of Tom Cruise and I think Ryan Gosling or Robert Downey Jr. And it was a fight scene and it was written Mission Impossible, whatever the number is. And it was as real as it can get. If it was not mentioned that it was AI, I couldn't have said that it's AI. The exact expressions of Tom Cruise, or for example, how it imitated his running, the famous running that he does on the Mission Impossible movies. So things like that. And there was a post that Hollywood was very concerned about these kind of things because eventually this will lead to loss of many jobs for actors as well. Because let's say for Tom Cruise, he has done a number of movies and all his action scenes, there is a data for his action scenes. And I think there is enough data for his action scenes. So it would be very easy to make action movie starring Tom Cruise. They might get the right from him for using his face, but it would be very cheap and very easy to make a movie on Tom Cruise with Mission Impossible 2030, whatever. But yeah, creativity is in danger. I think the creative people, movie industry is a very big industry, and that industry is also in a difficult situation. And gradually, I don't think it will become better. There might be some policies, but penetration would be there. And the second example that I would like to use is I keep on reading the startup news in India and all across the globe, and frequently see Shark Tank on and all those kind of shows. So nowadays, people have considered AI to be so cool that they're building apps that is doing a different purpose, and they have just integrated AI for the sake of it. Let's say it's the app is you have to find the gyms and book slots in a gym. So it's just that find 5 gyms near me and help me book a slot. People have integrated AI. It's completely useless. That's what I feel. What would I need AI for in booking a slot? I have to work out myself, so at least I can book a slot for me. So I think AI has people are getting AI in the wrong direction as well. I think unwisely used as well, just to get cool or just to stay relevant. But on to the question part, is remaining creative very important? I think that would be the differentiating factor in the long run. Because let's say me and Rishideep are building the same app. For example, let's say a very generic idea, but building an app on helping master's student applications for universities. How he will approach this problem and how I will approach this problem would be differentiated by the fact how creative we are. Because the algorithm will be different for both of us, but the code might be the same with minor alterations. And among the two, whose app would be better will depend on our algorithm and how creatively we have been able to help the students with their applications or the process. That's what I feel. So yeah, remaining creative is important and thinking differently or even to psychopathic scale is important.
Yeah. Rishi, last points that you want to add if you have? Thank you, Kunal.
Yeah, I mean, creativity has such a fluid definition. It feels so difficult to kind of box it up in this one limited scope. I mean, in my opinion, AI can be as creative as we want it to be, simply because I mean, most AI agents are statistical. I mean, not statistical. I mean, probabilistic models. So they predict the next word, as I said, but they don't efficiently know the correct answer to your questions. They predict correct answer to your questions based off historical data, so much data that it's almost always correct. Which is why you can actually tune the amount of creativity you expect from a model manually in the UI of certain models. You can actually, I think this is called temperature in our language. You can increase or decrease the temperature based on how deterministic or probabilistic you want your answers to be. And I feel like we can define creativity in different ways. I think science in general is based on the entire idea of creativity. I mean, if you're creative, only then can you come up with new stuff every day and every week. So I feel like creativity isn't, I mean, not at least anytime soon. It's not like in danger. If you look at the videos that a lot of these AI models generate in today's day, you can clearly distinguish that this is an AI generated video, and this is good for this term called AI slop. I mean, people enjoy such videos on the internet, but they don't really watch it for the purpose of, say somebody was to build an Avengers movie using AI. People wouldn't watch that, to actually follow an Avengers story. They would watch it as a sort of a joke or as a pastime. People would still go
Sorry
to
to
the
interrupt, Rishi.
theaters.
Just can you explain the AI slop thing that you said?
Yeah, so AI slop is very similar to what Kunal was saying, that people tend to use AI in almost everything today, integrate AI in any app that they build just because it's a buzzword. And I kind of agree to it. I believe that it's not required everywhere. I mean, you can have apps simply coded with pure programming logic, which can do the job just fine, just as good as AI. And you will not be wasting trees or water sort of trying to cool the data centers in San Francisco. So statistical models, the preliminary models do that. So I think that is what constitutes AI slop, but it's also on the internet. You see reels of, I don't know, your animated characters reimagined as real people. I mean, I don't know, Aaron, have you watched this show called Invincible on
Yeah.
Amazon Prime? Yeah,
No.
you have. Okay, that's and there's a lot of discussion around the animation quality of the show because it's brought out in such short intervals every season, and people discuss that AI could be a really good addition. People, if the animators use AI, it could be really fast and really good quality. But again, if you look at these real world characters reimagined as sort of different characters in the movie or in the series, you see how diminished in quality it actually is. And it could be a funny clip, but it could not be of real value. It could not be sold to the public as the series, as the show, or as the movie. So it's still a long way from becoming a threat to creativity. And I feel like there's no end to creativity. You can always come up with new things. And the day we stop coming up with new things on our own, I think is the day either we would have achieved utopia in the world or human civilization would be stunted. Either of the two.
Yeah, there's no middle. I agree on that
There's
point.
no middle. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything, Ayça, to it?
No, I think it was a very, very deep conversation, and I agree. And I think we can move on to our next one. Should the artists be concerned, or is there more space for them to express their creativity? Is the market becoming even more competitive than before, or is it easier to develop products faster and eventually rise quicker?
Oh, definitely. Definitely the market is getting tighter. I know this. Like it's like a fact actually. Like we don't there's no discussion about this. Because as I said, for the still images, like for graphic design, like the idea makers and stuff, especially in Turkey, I think, where it's not as developed as more like, for example, France. For more like mobile games, more like small productions, there is way less job because they use AI for the ideas as we talked about. And what you said last is also kind of correct. Like, okay, this does make creating stuff faster, of course. And as I said, I think it's not necessarily a bad thing that AI is taking jobs. I think it's actually a good thing. It's like an industrial revolution. It's like tractor instead of like 100 people working at the farm. Tractor is working and it does the same job. That's a good thing. So it's more like the policies that should follow with it to make sure everyone gets bread. But I think, yes, right now, as of right now, and as of right now's policies, it is definitely harder to find artistic jobs.
Yeah. People will build apps as if they're posting TikToks. That's my thought.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, interesting take. Honestly, interesting take on that. I think Rishi has a shocking answer to that based on his expression.
There's no shocking answer to anything. I think
We are hyped now.
they're they're not. I mean, it boils down to the same thing. They're not really endangered. Markets are obviously getting tighter. And it's always getting tighter. I mean, any industry, if you consider, I don't know, even pesticides. I think the market has gotten way more competitive than 30 years ago. If you ask your parents, your grandfather, I think it must have been really difficult according to him as well in his time. But then compared to that, I think you have it tougher if you think sheer numbers. So that's true for every space. But I think again, the real sort of value is in innovation. And innovation is probably another word for creativity. And I feel like animators and artists in our society are probably most qualified in this sense to help us through these trying times of AI taking over jobs and, I don't know, different parts of our life. So I feel you guys, Eren, animated, I'm really thrilled about animation. I mean, I have so many questions to ask you after the podcast, maybe. I don't know. So I have... I really admire your work, and I have no idea about how it's done. I am absolutely not versed in that, but I know that you guys also paint and draw by hand the storyboards, as you mentioned. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Like, not one person does everything, but like there's a guy that does what you say, and then it's like a next step
Okay.
and next step. So everyone does the part.
Yeah, which is still very human. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as you're getting ideas from AI and then doing it by hand and incorporating stuff into it. I mean, it's not that you're going to follow AI to the end. I mean, you should always take inspiration. I mean, again, if you're taking inspiration from AI, you know your ideas are also validated. What you can think is also correct. And then you put your own stuff into it, which makes it, I think, a completely new thing, a new product. And that helps us build everything in this society, in this world.
Yeah, I agree on that point. I don't think I'm as talented in artistic ways as Eren is, but I also want to build stuff. And for instance, if I draw something and I upload it on an AI platform where please make it perfect as if Eren has drawn it.
Guys,
so that
stop blazing me. Come on. I'm not doing that good. Like,
So, I mean, maybe I'm not born with this talent, and we will talk about it. Is creativity coming from birth, or is it something like, or talent? Is it a talent that we have? You know, the ability to draw, because I've always tried to paint. I've given loads of time and effort, but somehow it doesn't come off as Eren's work.
oh my God.
I think we should have the Iran's portfolio link on when we upload our podcast.
Come on.
So for those people who aspire to become great in artistic ways, but they can never achieve it, maybe AI can be a help in that sense, so that at least you can put your products up. And for coding sense as well, I've always tried to learn, UX and like backend development, but it's such a master's thing. So I had to actually study computer science for that. But I never had the efficient time, but I always had the interest. So with this AI, even though I know a bit of, MATLAB and some sort of Python, now with this, I can understand the bugs and errors, but I don't know as much as a computer scientist, but at least I can do some stuff. I can produce some things, not even for vibe coding. I can even add on top of the codes. So it's like if you know something 25%, for instance, how to draw or how to code, you can still build things with AI. I think it's a positive in that sense, but the market is being so tense because everyone is trying to build some things. And as I said in the beginning, if you cannot market, then there's no point in just producing stuff.
Interesting. I think to conclude, I have a very simple statement. Like nowadays, there are wellness therapy centers in the middle of nature, and what they try to imitate is how our ancestors lived, or people 3, 4 generation behind of us lived. They would imitate what their living is inside that center. And I think currently what us or our parents are living, the way they are living, 3, 4 generations after us, they would imitate this life when you had just phones, not AI. I mean, it's a simple analogy, but I think
Mm-hmm.
these type of centers would be focused on how to think creatively or how unleash your creativeness when you are near the nature. And I think that's true when we are outside or when we see the green. I think seeing green or nature or trees helps your mind start thinking differently. When you, for example, go out for a run, you might get some different thoughts apart from the fact that you are focused on running, but back in the mind, in your subconscious state, I think there would be thoughts emerging. So I think creativity would be an isolated thing, and people would be dedicatedly giving time to think creatively. That's what I think.
I wanna maybe give a point on what both of you said, but maybe more on Ayça said. What you said about the fact that, okay, maybe you don't have the technical skill set to create something, so AI helps you create this thing. Like, this by itself is, of course, a positive. Like, unless you are a monster, you would say, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. And like what you said about, like, for example, what if I'm not talented? From my high school, I had like a good art teacher, and she used to say being talented is like climbing a ladder, and being talented is just starting like 3 steps up, and that's it. Like, you just started 3 steps up, but we all go up the same ladder. So at the 20th step, at the 100th step, the talent by itself doesn't do much. I wouldn't say I am talented in art myself. It's just as you do, you get, this goes to like a more topic of nature versus nurture. I am more on the nurture side, maybe you can tell. But what you say, I think, misses a point in the creative process, which is you say, oh, okay, but I don't know, but I want to create, so this helps me do it, so voila. But what I see is, to be able to think even, you need to know something about it. Like, for example, I can't even begin to think creatively in, for example, coding, because I have nothing to think about. Like, I don't know even how the process works to be able to understand, how can I solve this creatively? Because there's no thing to base on. So, for example, in my field, in animation, when I begin, okay, I can have a wild idea, but it is as I work on it through years, and I learn, okay, human body moves like that, and then from that, I get an inspiration. In doing this, maybe I can do it faster, and it would create more comedy or like more intense moment or whatever. I think there is the process that you lose in the AI that is very important for creativity, and you cannot get that by just typing on AI and like, yeah, I have this idea, I'm just gonna do it, and then you create something. It cannot reach the level of creativity or originality, maybe the final product, even if you're gonna just think like tak materialistic, it cannot reach that, where someone like Rishi works on this for like years, and he knows how to think about it so that he can think creatively about solving the solution. Or like me, I can think about, okay, if instead of walking like this, he could walk like this, and this would give it more suspicious look, or like more mysterious, or he could look more happy. And that just happens by keep doing it. That's the example. Because I'm studying animation during my university, I would look at people in metro. I'm like, okay, what gives this guy, okay, this guy looks sad, but I would think, why does this guy look sad? Okay, but if I was just doing animation by AI, I wouldn't even think about thinking it. So then I would never get to subtle details about what gives the emotion, that subtle touch that you cannot tell, but you feel when you look at someone. You know your friend is sad. You know they have something in their mind. That is something I think because I think about it. I'm in the heat of it. And you would not get that by taking a shortcut like that.
I fully agree, actually.
Yeah, a great and an intellectual statement, honestly.
Yeah, this is completely true for anything I think we do in life. If I was starting over, learning coding, back from scratch, I wouldn't use AI to do it for me. I would definitely want it to teach me, maybe teach me the concepts of programming, how to do it, what's the syntax, and how to figure out things. But I wouldn't do it from. I mean, from the word go. If I was employed somewhere, and I had to learn coding from scratch, I wouldn't use AI to do it. I feel like it applies to everywhere. I think domain knowledge will always have an edge over AI. I mean, take my own example. I have no prior background in the neuroscience or the biology of the brain. The last time I studied biology was back in grade 10 when I was 16 years old. So from that, jumping into this field of neuroscience, obviously most of it is just working with AI. It's a different use case, but I still feel, and I'm so sure about this, that my colleagues who have background in neuroscience or biology or biomedical engineering, they have so much more domain expertise than me. It really gives them an edge, and it certainly helps me learn a lot from them. So that's my perspective on this.
Yeah, and my perspective is, I think, to not to be misunderstood, it's just say I have the domain, like the baseline knowledge for coding and creative arts. But since I was a child, I have been pursuing opportunities in terms of technical engineering and not these expertise where I always aspired to become very well so that I could create products eventually. Just couldn't have time. I couldn't have time to learn the code, to learn that backend development skills. But now that the AI has developed so well, I can actually reach to my destinations without having to spend so much time trying to learn and become an expert. Because otherwise I would spend thousands to courses, materials, but I don't have enough time because I've been chasing opportunities. I've been trying to, cope with the corporate life industry. In the meanwhile, I couldn't learn the HTML, the CSS codes that takes a lot of time, tons of at least 10,000 hours, I think, if there hasn't been an AI that has been developed so far. So that's my point on this thing. Moving on.
I agree with all of you, I guess. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. To those people that are concerned for their creativity, is creativity a talent or something we can build as a muscle in the course of time?
Okay. So, yeah, can I go?
Yes.
I thought there was a lag. Fine. So what I think is everyone is creative in their own way. As Eran earlier said, he is creative in the fields of animation. Rishi is creative in the field of design, coding. So I think there are some inbuilt talent in all of us. Maybe I think I am good in persuading someone, so that's my inbuilt talent. But there are things that you need to learn that will be built over time. For example, coming from engineering background, I have no idea about marketing or finance. But since I'm trying to do work in my family business and have a startup, I need to learn those things. I can't escape from either marketing or finance because I can build a product, but what if I'm not able to sell it? Then it would eventually be like I built it, but it would be like a research lab. It is not scalable or not translated to the market. So I need to learn these different things. If I talk about marketing itself, marketing is evolving at such a scale right now that every day there is new trend that is happening, new tools that are being used for marketing. For example, 5 years back from now, everyone would use to market their products on Facebook. Now they are switched to TikTok and Instagram. I think 5 years from now, there would be another tool that people would opt for. And then people are marketing over WhatsApp. Years later, it might be Telegram or social or something else. So we have to constantly adapt and creatively adapt to different things that we are not expert in order to have a decent conversation or not make a fool of ourselves in the fields that we don't have much knowledge about. And I think AI is a good tool for that because if I need to learn about digital marketing or let's say I have a budget of £1,000 for marketing my product, which platform to use ideally, which platform will give me this much traffic, this is my target audience. I think AI will give me a better response to scrutinizing, would be the ideal, whether I should choose Instagram, whether I should choose Facebook or YouTube ads. I think this is what I can use AI for, designing the strategy for marketing as well. Like, for example, I need to sell a pesticide or a biopesticide. My target audience would be someone like dealers or distributors who are working in India in this sector. And AI will help me identifying the correct keywords that I can give to YouTube in order to get better ROI from my investment in the ads. So to conclude what I said, I think there are some inbuilt talents and there are things that you need to develop in order to survive in this competitive world. I think AI can help you in learning those things.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Kunal. Rishi, last few words.
I don't think I have a very different perspective than Kunal on this. I think it's definitely like a muscle you have to build. Creativity is always going to be important in every walk of life. And even though you might have certain instincts since birth, but if you don't hone those instincts and nourish them to kind of help you towards what you want to do in life, I don't think a very raw idea of instincts and creativity is going to help anyone. I mean, a simple analogy is that I might have, I don't know, please, chemical engineers, please let me know if this is a correct analogy. I might have a diamond, but if I don't, sculpt it in the form of a ring, it's probably not as useful to me as I'd need. So that's perhaps the idea. And that applies to everything, even computer science and AI and technicals. I might have the instinct of problem solving. I might know where the pain points are, what to do in certain situations. But if I don't apply it to my field, say neuroscience, if I don't know what, say, Parkinson's disease is, what are the pain points, what actually triggers Parkinson's disease, what are symptoms, what are side effects, there's no way I can develop a model that's good enough to predict Parkinson's disease appropriately, predict the side effects appropriately. Because at the end of the day, even AI is like a culmination of data. I mean, it takes data as input and it processes it in different ways than we can imagine. A lot of it, again, is black box, obviously, and by black box I mean that you don't know, or we don't know how AI performs certain activities, and we probably will never know. But yeah, I mean, it processes data in such a way that is not clearly visible to humans, and that is what makes it unique. And I say this, and this is a very, very popular saying in our field, that your model, your predictions are only as good as the data you provide, which directly translates to the idea that if the models I build are only as good as my knowledge and my skill set. So that's my take on this.
Thank you very much. Great perspective.
I think, yeah, as I said in the previous question, most things are nurture. Like, this is a debate about nature versus nurture at this point. I think you are capable of creativity because you are human. Because being creative is at some point, as Rishi said too, it's hard to put it in a box, but it's to be able to think. And to be able to think is what makes you human. So if you are like a healthy being, of course, you are able to be creative. So don't be defeatist about yourself. You can do what you want to do. It takes some time. And as I said, these specific areas of creativity, you can get more and more ideas as you get into the heat of it during the process. And that's why I caution against AI. Like, don't rely on AI too much. Just do it on your own. And this is not just for a job too. Like, maybe this podcast is more about like job mostly, I felt like. But for your own life too, I think there is more satisfaction for your own life to be able to figure it on your own. And yes, don't be afraid to go in there, make some mistakes. But you are, of course, capable of being creative. And of course, you can develop it more.
Yeah. To that point that you just did, Eren, I just want to give an example. When I was doing ceramics class back in high school, my teacher would take the pot and then she would start giving shape to its form. And then she would tell me, you're going to do this, right? And then I said, unless I do it with my own hands, I cannot learn. What I mean is that unless we take the control that for any side of our lives, we won't be satisfied, I believe. Because at one moment, even though, yes, we can wipe code, but I don't think we will have the satisfaction as like we were in the process of building it. So we were the main character, not the side character.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yes.
All right. Then Kunal wants to finish up with one last question of his. It's an interesting one. Would you like to ask your last question, Kunal?
Okay, so it's off track from what we are discussing, and this is a question that I often like to ask people when I have a conversation with them, a deep conversation with them, is would you rather achieve contentment or happiness?
Oh, those are very close definitions, eh?
Yeah,
Just
a thin
throwing
line
out some
between them.
very heavy words.
Yeah,
Contentment or happiness?
yeah.
I would say happiness, maybe. Because happiness, I think, overlaps contentment. Because can you be truly happy without being content? But I'm thinking about like a lasting happiness, like not like a moment of happiness, maybe. But when you say, would you like to have happiness or contentment? I'm thinking, okay, this is a buff for life. So I would like to have a happiness buff for my life, I think. I would like to be happy, and being content is part of it, I think.
Sure.
I would choose
Let
happiness
Ayça
too.
go first, yes.
Because contentness is not something I enjoy, because at some point I like change. I like taking risks, just like how we're doing right now. We are taking risks, having our opinions with our face out there.
Oh no, the secret police! My door!
So yeah, I choose happiness because happiness comes from, yeah, as I said, creativity, productivity. So I think I would pursue happiness at all costs.
Yeah, I would agree. I think almost everyone on this panel chooses happiness. I think that's because happiness is like an ongoing decision, not decision, but happiness is like a ongoing process you tend to achieve every day. I mean, in my opinion, you should be happy every day. And contentment is something like you achieve at the end of a task, say at the end of your professional career, you're content with what you wanted to do throughout your life. But have you been happy doing it every day? That's the definition. I think I would like to be happy. Contentment is a long way down the track. So I think, yeah, we'll see if we get content. For now, let's be happy.
Fair enough. Okay. So my answer would be I am a risk taker. I like to be adventurous, and those who have traveled with me will agree to it. But in the long term, I do seek contentment because mental peace is above anything for me. But yeah, if I have to take risks, contentment would be tampered. But this is what I see. It's like being the main part of the ocean versus the ocean, the seashore or the beach area, whatever you call that.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think like a contentment can be bad or good based on what area it
I'm
is.
never going bungee jumping with Kunal.
Oh no.
Oh my God. I hate extreme
Yeah.
sports. I hate them. Why would
Really?
rich people want like just enjoy the money? So I don't know.
Adrenaline rush is nice.
Yeah, yeah. The
I like
spikes of
skiing.
adrenaline rush.
It is cool.
To the rich people watching this podcast, if you ever decide to fund something we build, yeah, we'd be happy to.
Oh, could you fund? Could you be investors?
Yeah.
Well, perfect discussion. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate all the time you've given. Would you like to make the closure, Kunal?
Yeah, it was nice to talk with you guys. I'm happy I met you guys. I think it was a cool experience. And
Likewise.
wish you all best in life.
All the best, everyone, and thank you for giving time. And yeah, as I was doing, shukriya in Hindi.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so
I mean,
much. Thank you.
think it was a great discussion. Yeah, I've met Kunal before. I'm sure I've seen Ayça somewhere in Imperial in this past 1 year, but yeah, now it's glad to put a face to the name. Eren, so many questions, but we can speak
Who is
later
this
maybe
guy?
on this. Yeah, now it's even more mysterious than I assumed it would be. But yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me here. Happy to share my thoughts. Great being.
I appreciate it.
All right. Bye bye,
See you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye.